Hey, Charlie Jewett, good to talk to you today. As I mentioned the other day, I have a few clients who, when I see their, financial assets, sometimes they have a couple 100,000 here, or they tell me they're going to cash out of a real estate deal and they're going to net 100 or
Right.
300 or
Yep.
500 grand and some amount, and once in a while they'll tell me they don't have a financial advisor. And I understand you do it a little differently. You're not your generic Schwab guy, and you've told me that you have some good alternative strategies that's beating the market.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, like, what do you say to a guy who, if I introduce you to one of my clients, like, what might be the things that you might advise them about? I know you're
Yeah.
not going to give full detail without knowing their specific situation.
Yeah. Awesome question. We always have to look at the specifics, but this is fun for me to answer because I literally wrote the book on this, right? You know about that book, but when it relates to home equity,
I
um,
didn't read the whole thing. My dog ate it. My dog ate it.
your dog ate the homework. There you go. There you go.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, when it relates to home equity, they're taking money out of a house with a cash out refinance or selling a house and netting some money or making a smaller down payment and holding some of the money, all of that sort of home equity planning piece. You're right. If they have another advisor, that's not a problem for me because the other advisor is usually managing the stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, right? For
Hmm.
me, what I do in the alternative investment world, now I carry the licenses to do stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. I'm just able to beat the returns of the market without the risk and all of the other tools. So I just choose not to put money in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. But what I would do, I do the same thing for everybody, really, Greg. I look at their situation and go, what would I do if it were me? Having had 15 homes and been a realtor and then been a mortgage professional, managing the company of 80 loan officers, switching over 16 years ago to the most comprehensive type of financial planning available in the United States. What I would do is look at it and go, what would I do if I were in their situation? But it's not that complicated with clean after tax money. What do I mean by that? If you said I have a client with $1 million in an IRA and they're kind of tired of their losing money in the market and the low returns, what do I do with it? That's a little different because it's pre-tax money, right? There's some limitations. You can't use investments, or you may not want to use investments where we take it all out and trigger taxes on $1 million. I don't.
Right.
When it's clean money, Greg, when it's, inheritance or a gift or sell a house and net some money or cash out refinance, when it's clean after tax money, I've been using the same place for 16 years. I've been using a type of tax-free retirement planning tool that E.F. Hutton taught us in the 70s. Tony Robbins talks about it in his book, Money, Master the Game. If you look on,
Tax-free retirement strategies, you said?
yep. So if you were to look online for Rich Man's Roth IRA, you'll actually probably find my materials on it, including Tony Robbins' stuff. But
Okay. Is that safe for people?
yep. So it's 100% safe. There's no money that you can lose when the market goes down. I've been doing this for 16 years. And over the last 16 years, I don't have a client that's lost a single penny in any of these, what are called indexed strategies. Indexed means when the market goes down, you don't lose anything. There's a floor. You might make zero in a bad year, but you don't go backwards. There's no
Right.
recovering. I used to have this much, and now I have this much, and now I got to take 6 years to get back. There's none of that. Zero is our hero. You either make nothing or you make something. And that combination, I've got, by the way, I have all kinds of videos on this. I've got PDFs on it. I have articles on it. I've gone back and done that research. Making some of the gains and none of the losses for the last 19, 20, 30 years has beat the stock market. Really, every time I can measure it has beat the market. And that's why you hear me teach things like more risk, more reward is not true anymore. That was true from 1970 to 1999. It is not true. It hasn't been true for 20 years.
Hmm.
So where we want to put the money is where you can't lose it, where it's making 6-7% after all costs. So you're netting 6 or 7%, and where it's 100% tax-free, like a Roth IRA. Why are we not using a Roth IRA? Because you can only put in like 6 or 7,000 a year. You can't dump 200,000 of home equity into a Roth, right? So we use what existed before the Roth IRA, which is called the Rich Man's Roth IRA strategy. No limit on what you can put in, no losses for the market, average returns. My clients have been at 7 or 8, but really saying 6 to 7 is what we can show on the illustration. And liquid money. I store it there on purpose because we're looking for liquidity, safety, rate of return, and tax deductions. That's what we're looking for in money. Liquidity, yes. Safety, can't lose it, yes. Rate of return, 6 to 7 after all fees and pay no taxes, awesome. Tax deductibility or tax treatment, well, it's 100% tax-free on the growth, the income, and the transfer when you pass away. So most people don't know, one, that it exists, two, how to build it properly. because we're not talking about a Crown Victoria, the car you buy off the lot. We're talking about the cop car version of the Crown Victoria, the after we soup it up, right?
Right.
And if you do any research on me, Charlie Jewett, what you'll find is that's kind of my claim to fame, is going out and souping up policies, doing the aftermarket work on policies so that what Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey say about these strategies actually doesn't turn out to be true.
Yeah.
They're really saying a poorly designed blank doesn't have good returns. Well, I agree with you. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like saying musicians don't make good money. Well, that's true. But Billy Joel did okay, and Elton John did okay, right? And Drake's doing okay, having beat the Beatles.
Yeah. Right.
There are some musicians that do okay, and there are some designs that work really well. It won't shock you that to make it work for the client, you need to lower your
Right.
commissions significantly in my world, right?
Right.
I'm just one of the only people on the planet that will do that, and therefore we get the results.
Okay, so tell me, give me an example of a couple type of investments that somebody like who you said who might be doing a cash out refinance or made some money on a property or just simply want to put one of their retirement investments into a better performing vehicle. Give me a couple examples where you might put your client's money to
Yeah, I mean, so
get
I
that
think
6-7% rate of return you discussed earlier. Yeah.
two of the most popular places I would put money based on what type of money it was. Like if it was a retirement account or even a
Yeah.
529 plan or an IRA or 403B, something pre-tax, for most people, I would probably use what we call land banking. I'd probably use a type of buy and hold investment that's not like stocks, buy and hold and ride it down and up based on what the company value is. I don't want that, right?
Right.
So not buy and hold with mystery, but what we get in the world of land banking when done properly, like we've done over the last 12 years, you buy in a place that has all the signs of appreciating at 30, 40% a year, and hold and wait for Walmart to buy the piece of property from you or whatever it is. But what we've been seeing there is 20 to 30% returns, and no one's ever had a hiccup, like lost money even on paper, like we see in the stock
Right.
market. So I don't do the buy and hold in the stock market because I don't like the ups and downs or the fees. I do that
So
with
this is
land.
a long-term, more of a long-term strategy. You got to hold on to it for a while. You're not looking to make a quick buck and run, and play the market, so to speak, like
No,
day
and
traders do. Yeah.
that's an important distinction with clients is equity's always long term. It's always why I leave it there till I die and then I pass it to my kids, right? Or I leave it there till I sell and I buy the next house with it, creating more equity. Equity's always long term. If somebody says I'm either taking equity out of a house or I'm making a smaller down payment and I'm going to keep some money out, which is really, it could have been equity and it's not. If it was supposed to be sitting inside of the house, we're always going to use something that's long term, right? Now, long term is not super long. It's like the average hold time with land is 3.7 years. So we tell people 7 to 10 years, and it's been 3.7. But if you look at 7 to 10, that's not crazy long. Certainly, you would have left the equity longer than that, right?
Right.
There's that portion of it, and then if somebody was saying, I am selling a house and downgrading, let's say, to create cash because I don't have retirement income, I can't live. That'd be a bit of a different story. We wouldn't want to use a long-term growth tool. We want to use a paycheck tool, a personal paycheck tool where I give them $200,000 and I get $1,000 a month for as long as we both shall live, right? Even if you run out of money, you still get $1,000 a month and you get raises on that thing. But the two places, honestly, the number one place that I'm putting money that comes from a home is called a private reserve account. So we're using the strategy from the E.F. Hutton Group in 1978 or whatever it was. Been around over 40 years. The IRS has put their stamp of approval on it multiple times.
Right.
You're allowed to grow money completely tax free. There's no limits on what you can put in, and we're making 6, 7, 8%. It would either be that or land for me personally if I had money coming out of a house. So it's either tax free growth or really aggressive safe growth with capital gains.
Okay.
They both beat the market in all of the ways that I measure. Lower fees,
Yeah.
risk. So there's never been anyone that's lost a penny in either strategy. So I like the no risk piece, no market risk. And then rate of return. They're both making more money than the market has given in the last 20 years.
So this advice you in part, you'd say that differentiates you from other financial advisors, and and your clients are pretty happy with where they are after you haven't served them for a while?
Just incredibly happy. I'd say there's three things that differentiate me. One is comprehensiveness, just having been in, I mean, I did taxes through my office. I did real estate. I did mortgages. I went and studied estate planning, but I don't want to become an attorney. And I have, you know, the Series 65 license, and then the life insurance license, and then the land arrangements. Doing mortgage planning, estate planning, retirement planning, insurance planning, and tax planning, which I've called merit planning for the last 16 years.
Merit planning?
Merit planning. It's the first letter
Okay.
of mortgage plan, estate plan, retirement plan, insurance plan, and
Oh,
tax plan is the merit planning model. That
yeah,
is certainly what sets me apart from 100% of the advisors in the country. Secondly would be not saying no to anything. Like when people hate something, they hate reverse mortgages, they hate annuities, they hate this, they hate that, whole life. I just go and research it and find out, like, what is it? What does it do well? I was an electrician, man. Like, no tool exists for no reason. There was somebody going, I wish I had a way to drill through stone. And they're like, I keep burning through bits. Well, what if I had a jackhammer and a drill combined, and somebody designs a hammer drill? Flathead screwdriver has a role to play, although I hate them, but it has something it does. There are
yeah,
no tools that are bad. So I just went out and studied all the tools, found out what problems they solve better than everything else.
right.
And when someone has that problem, guess what? That tool is phenomenal. Reading how much Susie Orman hates it, or how much so-and-so Ken Fisher hates it because he wants you to invest your money in his mutual funds, doesn't mean anything if you're using the right tool for the right job. So comprehensivity as far as the merit planning, having every investment on the planet in the tool bag instead of, I don't know if you know this, Schwab's actually the company. Schwab is a company where I know some ex-advisors from Schwab. If you get an insurance license at Schwab, you get fired.
Yeah,
So if you actually add the guaranteed pension paychecks you can get from an annuity, or you
yeah.
add the tax-free retirement planning, some of their tools, you lose your job at Schwab. So you're not even
Oh,
allowed to have a full toolkit. You have to just sell what they want you to sell. It's like working at Pizza Hut. You got to sell pizzas or you get fired. Well, I don't want that for my clients.
right.
So all the tools, looking at all 5 parts of the financial plan. And then the cream of the crop is that, I mean, I train advisors nationally and show them how to do better for their customers. But when you do better for the customer, you make less money for yourself as the advisor. And I'm not exaggerating to say almost 100% of advisors that learn my strategies go, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not
Right.
going to make 1,000 instead of 6,000. Like I just designed something for somebody earlier. My pay is $847 instead of $6,500. And
Right.
everyone else that sees that goes, well, I'm not going to do that. I couldn't stay in business. And I go, why can't you stay in business making $847 and getting 5 referrals from the person who has friends that want to be treated properly, right?
Right. Yeah. You
So,
have to keep your client's best interests at heart and not think of yourself and your own interests.
and there is a way to
And I
compare.
have to do that in my business too. I mean, you have to divorce yourself personally from making these decisions because your clients are depending on you to give them advice. And
Yeah.
like you said, maybe, and the rest takes care of itself. You know, client referrals are who are happy with you, and that's the best way to operate. You know, I don't know any other.
No, I
Uh,
see that. I'm on 16 years of going, I woke up as an entrepreneur. I woke up broke and I'm unemployed every day, right? Like, what's going to happen today? But I've
yeah,
got 16 years of momentum. I'm at 16 years of seeing do the right thing, do the right thing, do the right thing, do it like I would do it for me
yeah,
on a golden rule. And don't pay attention, to the commissions. I pay attention to them to drop the expenses as low as I'm allowed by law. And
right,
then some crazy thing will happen. Someone will call me up and say, I just inherited $2 million. Where do you think I should put it? And even at the low commissions, $2 million deal
right,
pays, it's like a loan for $2 million. It pays nicely when
yeah,
it's priced fairly. It's just a bigger case, right? Or somebody will call me and refer their mom to me, and it takes one phone call.
right.
Can you do for me what you did for my daughter? Of course I
Yeah.
can. And then I'm
So,
done
so you do all the legwork. You mentioned there's all this research you have to do to find the best place to put your client's money.
constantly.
You do all that legwork and then present the best options for your client so they can choose, basically.
Constantly, because I don't have the restrictions like somebody who manages a mutual fund. There's actually somebody who manages every mutual fund. If you
Right,
look at their personal life, they never have their own money in the mutual fund. They've got it in their what they believe in.
right,
The difference with me is I study all these things to know what to do with my own money for
right.
how I want to grow my money, and then I just tell people, well, here's what I believe in.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
a perfect alignment between what I've discovered through my passion for this and then what we recommend. I mean, that's how I do my financial planning and my second opinions is just
right,
what
right,
would I do if I were blank? in their situation or about to receive $300,000, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I just got a call from a 19-year-old receiving a ridiculous inheritance, like an inheritance that should ruin people, right? And he's not even out of college.
Especially when you're 19. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And that is a thing you have to be careful of in estate planning, is you don't ruin your kids and grandkids, right? But
Hey, Charlie, I got to run.
Perfect.
And I just wanted to get a glimpse today of, what you can offer people. And let's see what we can do to help our clients.
Absolutely. It's pretty easy. Good news or good news. They're either perfect or we can make something better.
Okay, sounds good. And it was great talking to you today.
Good talking to you too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.